Hi, I'm Coach Corey Wayne, and this is my video coaching newsletter. And the topic of today's newsletter is going to be why women get cold and distant and leave you hanging suddenly. Well, I would say probably the majority of dudes that are watching this video have probably had this experience, usually more than once in their life, where they start dating somebody or a girl seems really interested in first. Then you have a date or two, maybe three, and all of a sudden she just kind of, the more time you spend with her, the more she seems to kind of fade away and lose interest. Then she just disappears. So this particular email, this guy's 36, the girl's 27 in question. They used to work together. He was her boss, and he could tell back when they worked together that she had interest, but he had dated somebody in the office or the workplace once before, and it didn't end too well. So he's like, you know what? I'm in a position of authority. I don't want to jeopardize my job, so I'm not going to get involved. So anyway, she at some point left the company, and then like once or twice a year, she would reach out. And he said he just really didn't have much interest in dating or anything, and then all of a sudden it kind of dawned on him that she was interested. He set a date with her. They had a first date, but he hasn't been a good student of the book. He said he read it twice in the past year. And I mean, you could tell he doesn't know it. He just made a lot of mistakes, put his foot in his mouth on their date, talked about a lot of negative things, his lack of self-control regarding alcohol. And then he tried to set a second date, and as soon as she texted him the details of when she's available, she never replied after that. Now it's been 2 days, and he's like, what the hell? So this is a good email to learn from of what not to do, because these are common mistakes that most guys that don't know any better do. Because what do you hear in the culture? Oh, talk about your feelings. Tell her about all your problems. Get it all out in the open. And then she'll appreciate your honesty. Well, if you give her a bunch of reasons why you're unattractive or why you don't have your shit together, it's not making you look confident. It's not making you look competent. And what do women love more than anything? Confidence in a guy. So if you go on a long diatribe about your problems and your issues on a first date, there's a good chance there will not be a second date. So he says, hi, Coach. I've been following your work for about a year, and I read the book twice. Well, I mean, if you put the audiobook on 2-speed and then you follow along that digital or physical copy, you can get through it in 4 hours. So the fact that after a whole year you barely got through the book twice just tells me you're not a serious student. You're trying to cherry pick. You're kind of lazy. I get that you weren't really focused on dating, or that's what you say. But at the end of the day, if you'd have taken the time to learn the book and then gone out with this girl knowing the book backwards and forwards, you wouldn't be sending me an email like this. You'd probably be sending me a success story. But it's when you experience pain of rejection and heartache and heartbreak that you realize you really should change your approach. So he says, hi, Coach. I've been following your work for about a year and read the book twice. Recently, I went on a date with a woman I've known for a little over 4 years. I'm 36, she's 27, and from 2021 to 2022, I was her boss. I've always been a calm, career-focused guy, and over the years, I had several women at work show interest, sometimes aggressively. I kept things professional, especially after a bad experience years ago getting involved with a coworker. This girl was one of those who showed interest, but nothing ever happened while we worked together. After she left the company, she would text me about once a year, sending old videos of us or memes saying, this reminds me of you. So that's clear interest. If a girl leaves the company and she stays in touch, she likes you. But that's as far as women will typically go. They're not going to say, hey, how about a date? This is what they do. They send you memes or, hey, this reminds me of you. And they expect you to kind of put 2 and 2 together and figure out, oh, this girl must like me. Maybe I should ask her out. He says, I always liked her, but at the time I had other priorities and dating wasn't on my radar, so I responded vaguely. Recently, she texted me again, sending 2 videos of us, one edited like a condom commercial, with the text, the chillest guy in the world. Well, if a girl is texting you a condom commercial, she's thinking about you beating up her pelvis with your meat missile. That's just the bottom line. So that's pretty obvious, but again, it's like you got to read between the lines. You got to understand where women are coming from. I found it bizarre, but intriguing. Well, again, she's thinking about your cock. That's why she did it. Girls like sex too, in case you haven't figured that out. I replied, still thinking of me? With a wink. And she said, duh. Hello, Captain Obvious. Which caught me off guard in how direct she was. Well, I mean, this has been going on for 3 years now? Oh, I think she likes me. Huh. She even remembered my birthday and wished me a belated happy birthday. I told her I wanted to see her and would get back to her once I figured out my erratic work schedule. A week later, I told her I had to leave town for 2 weeks for work, and she was understanding and said she'd wait for my message. So again, she's got high interest. I mean, she's been waiting 3 years. What's a few more weeks? So this is like serving herself on a silver platter. This is in the beginning of the book, the quote from Adam Carolla. He says, when a woman likes you, the doors start opening, and all you got to really do is just walk through. But if the doors start closing in your face, then you walk away. And so in this case, she's saying, hey, both doors are wide open. Please come on in. As long as you don't talk me out of it, which unfortunately appears to be what has happened. I usually suggest coffee dates because I'm an alcoholic and avoid bars. Well, you go someplace for happy hour and just have coffee or tea. You go to a nice little wine bar, doesn't mean you got to drink anything. You could have some iced tea. It's called self-control, choosing to be healthy. In other words, being disciplined, as Jocko Willink so well appropriately says, discipline equals freedom. I've been sober for 5 months after relapsing following 7 years of sobriety. We couldn't align schedules for a daytime coffee. So again, if you're trying to have a romantic date with somebody, you don't make a coffee date in the middle of the day. That's something platonic and friendship-like. Or if you're not, you could have just said, hey, we should get together for dinner sometime. What's your schedule like? Because that's a romantic date. I mean, the girl's sending you memes about condoms because she's thinking about your dick. And you're like, how about a coffee date in the afternoon? Yeah. This is what happens when you don't read the book. You don't really know what you're doing. He says, we couldn't align schedules for a daytime coffee, so we agreed on a 7 p.m. date, which she seemed very excited about. Probably because she didn't want to do a coffee date. Because, again, she was thinking about causing your general to stand at attention. Unfortunately, I was extremely nervous. Again, because he never read the book, so he didn't really know what he was doing. Had a few vague concepts of the book. If I'm a guessing man, he probably read the book a year ago, went through it a couple of times, and never went back to it. Hasn't dated anybody, hasn't practiced anything. So how much could he really know? He's just cherry-picking videos, probably checking in, watching a video here and there. That's just not sufficient if you're trying to get this part of your life handled. Unfortunately, I was extremely nervous, especially with the fear of drinking again, and it affected my presence. Well, again, it's a conscious choice. It's discipline. She was drinking, which didn't help, and I made the mistake of telling her about my alcohol problem. Yeah, what does the book say? Again, you didn't really read it or take it seriously. If it's not going to make you look more confident, more charming, more masculine, more put together, make her see you in a more attractive light, keep it to yourself. She's not there to be your priest. You're not there to confess all your sins or all your weird hang-ups or all your problems. So he says, I didn't go for a kiss at the end since I didn't feel clear signals. Well, again, that's why the book says, if you're unsure, go for it anyways. I had a date, that one of the examples I wrote about in the book, girl I went out with. Even though I knew her and I was pretty sure she liked me, I saw almost no signs in the date that she was interested. And so when I walked her to her front door, I was going to go for the kiss because I didn't want to, wonder for the next several days or week or so, does the girl even like me? I wanted to get it out of the way so I could cross her off the list. So I go and I start making out with her and she sucked the fucking tongue out of the back of my throat and then says, would you like to come up? I said, sure. So that's what I did. And again, when there weren't any clear indicators of interest, I walked away from that first date with some clarity. But instead, he walked away and he's going, I don't know. He's just timid. He's shy. He's not going for it. He hasn't practiced his stuff. Stop licking my keyboard. Thank you. I guess the sweat from my palms is why the dogs like to lick my keyboard. I also like to lick our feet. So the dogs will go around when the girls are working and start licking in between their toes and stuff. I guess the puppies kind of have a foot fetish. I guess they like the salt. Well, thanks for coming to my TED Talk about my puppies. Anyways, back to our regularly scheduled email. He says, 5 days later, I texted her saying I'd like to see her again and asked when she was available. She replied, ha ha, so you're still alive. I'm free during the week after 6. How about you? So the fact that she says, oh, you're still alive, and it was only 5 days, what does that tell you? She was surprised. She probably started to think, oh, I guess this guy doesn't like me. So that's an indicator that there is some interest, and it sounds like she was a little disappointed that you hadn't reached out sooner. I suggested a cozy place with good food at 7:30. That was about 2 days ago, and she hasn't responded. Well, she may be doing it on purpose to troll you because of your performance in the last date. Because she went out on a date with you, and you were all up in your head. As you said, you were nervous, and then you talked about your problems and your struggles with alcohol. Again, this is on a first date. How is this supposed to make her like you more? If she's drinking and say, how come you're not drinking? It's like, oh, I don't drink anymore. And she said, why? I was like, I focus on being healthy. So I prefer it that way. How about you? And then change the subject. But when you sit there and you feel like you got to confess your sins, oh, I really struggle with it. I was sober for 7 years. I'm really mad at myself. You know, a few months ago, I relapsed and, you know, got really drunk and lots of bad things happened and wrecked my car and got in a fight, got arrested. You know, guys will go out and say shit like, not that he said anything like that, but I'm just exaggerating. But from her perspective, you just basically said you have no self-control, which is a masculine strength characteristic that women love. And so you're saying, I don't have control over my emotions and my actions. So you should expect a pullback. And plus her interest has dropped. And so more than likely she's going, do I really even want to go out with this guy? It's not like what I thought. So she goes out. All right, that's enough. Enough licking the keyboard. So she's thinking, do I like this guy? Should I go out with him again? So it's clear there's a lack of enthusiasm. The fact she waited 2 days, it's number one, it's rude. And number two, it's an indication that her interest has dropped, which obviously from his performance on that first date makes it pretty obvious that his performance was lackluster. So he says, if she does get back to me, what would be a good response? You've mentioned sometimes putting a woman in her place. Should I call her out for lack of response is rude? No, I wouldn't do that at all because it's not going to help you. It just, all that'll do is make you come off as your butt hurt and upset. And you already look weak because of how you handled yourself on the first date. So I'd say you're barely just holding on at this point. And so I would do nothing. As I often say, you got to give women the space and the time away from you to follow through on their plans and commitments or to flake out and disappear from your life forever. So when it's been 2 days, that's not a good sign. Maybe a week goes by. Maybe she's waiting a couple of days just to see if you freak out about it. Because it's clear her interest is not what it was. The image that she had of you, this calm, cool, collected guy that she admired and looked up to as her boss, and then you go out and you vomit your feelings and you vomit your lack of self-control. It's not good, man. You basically talked her out of liking you on the date. Instead of, because again, she's texting you memes about condoms. So she's subliminally saying, hey, why don't you strap one of those on and come on inside, big boy. And instead you treated her like your therapist or your mommy. And you confessed to things that, quite frankly, were none of her business. You didn't even need to discuss. How come you're not drinking? I gave it up for Lent. I'm taking some time off. I'm really focused on the gym and being healthy, and I just don't want to drink. Whatever. You have a good reason why a woman's like, well, why don't you have a glass of wine with me? It's like, I don't drink anymore. I don't like wine. Don't say, oh, yeah, I had an alcohol drinking problem. It was really fucked up. Crushed my car. The police were chasing me. You don't want stuff like that. Just keep it to yourself because, again, it's not adding any value. It's not making you look good to her. It's making you look bad. So why do things that talk her out of it? Thanks for crop dusting me, Lila. Whoa, God. Whew. Maybe someday there'll be a way to just share the scents, and I could share the gaseousness I'm smelling right now. It's pretty repulsive. Thanks, Lila. This is great. Great ending to an email. So what are the odds that she's going to reach back out? Flip a coin. But when it goes 2 days, that's not a good sign. But she may reach out after a few days or a week or so because it's clear her interest has dropped. So if her interest does go back up, she'll reach out. And if you completely screwed the pooch, pun intended, on your first date, you'll never ever hear from her again. She'll never reach out. So think of it as like tennis. Dating's like tennis. You hit the ball over the net and you got to wait for her to hit back. You hit it over the net and now 2 days have gone by. When it goes beyond 24 hours, that's rude. Means the interest is low. When she waits 2 days, her interest is really low and she might just be trolling you to see if you blow your top. Because again, what did you tell her? You have no self-control. If you got a drinking problem, you're telling her you have no self-control. So she might be assuming that you're going to freak out when you don't hear from her for 2 days. Or you get mad, you get upset. But I'd say more than likely it's just because her interest has dropped and she's trying to go, do I want to go out with this guy again? And that's why doing nothing and a few days go by can make her go, well, it was only the first date. And then she reaches back out. So if she reaches back out, hey, what's your schedule like? Or she just calls to confirm or texts to confirm. Just make the date. And the next time you're on a date, don't be talking like this about yourself. Keep it positive, keep it fun, keep it light. Take the time with the book. And if you're new here, the book's free to read in the members area of my website. There's absolutely no reason not to learn the basic fundamentals because these videos are meant to help fine-tune the wisdom that's in the book to specific real-world situations, because obviously I can't discuss every single situation in the book. It's to give you the fundamentals, and then we can go through these emails as examples of, hey, this guy screwed up here, this guy did this right here, he should have done this differently, this is what I would do next time. So you can kind of learn and understand how to apply the book to pretty much just about every situation you're going to encounter, because I get emails from all over the world, guys in every cultural and spiritual background. So if you got a question or challenge and you'd like to get my help, go to understandingrelationships.com, click the coaching tab at the top of your screen on any page of my website, and book a coaching session with yours truly. If you haven't already signed up for our exclusive premium members-only content, in the video description of this video, there are links to join on YouTube, or you can join on Spotify or our website, understandingrelationships.com. Just click the plans tab when you get there, and you can sign up for a free trial to check out all the great content you get in the content library that you get access to as a premium member. And if you choose an annual plan, you can get a 25% discount at the end of the 7-day free trial. So go to understandingrelationships.com, click the plans tab, sign up for a premium membership trial today. And until next time, I will talk to you soon.